I want to introduce you to John Hornick is going to be the moderator. George Blackburn, Phil Jemmett, Sam Cohn, A.J. Poulin, Otto Krebs, Merrill Calliser, and Brian O'Shaughnessy. Before we do the roundtable discussion, because our Bring Your Deal segment was so successful, the last two events, we do have a mic set up over there, is that correct? Yes, sir. We have a live mic set up, and here's how this works. Is VIP goes first, Premier goes second, General Admission goes third. You have 1 minute to bring your deal. And there'll be a discussion here about it, and then once the Bring Your Deal segment is over, we're going to go into a roundtable discussion. Okay, John Hornick will be moderating this.
Thank you, Lenny. Let's hear it for Lenny. He's done a great job today. Come on. Good job. All right, so this is a very fun section of the program. Bring Your Deal. You have 1 minute. VIP section goes first, Premier second, General Admission third. The way this works is you get to the microphone, you say a deal you have. It's good connection to somebody else in the rooms. The experts can give you some ideas on whether it's fundable, not fundable. And last time we did this, what was interesting about it was people came up and realized how ridiculous some of their deals were, which was a good, which by the way was a really good exercise because it reinforced everything we were saying all day. I mean, some woman, no joke, was looking for $6 billion. So just to let you go, and I'm not joking. Remember? Yeah, $6 billion. So anyway, who wants? And now that I've done that, who's comfortable to go up and float a deal out? Lenny, it's going to be a short segment. No, okay, come on, somebody come up. Yeah, there you go.
But that $6 billion deal, it was worth $6 billion in her mind because the earth underneath the land had mineral rights for iron or something.
That's right. It's one of those mineral right deals. The property's only worth $100,000, but $6 billion worth of oil. It was good. It was worth it. Yes, state your name, sir.
My name is Ryan O'Farrell. I'm with Majestic Capital. I have an ex-U.S. lawmaker for the state of Oregon that got a net worth about $36 million. He did a development in Kaiser, Oregon, which is right next to Salem. He developed 96 acres of retail space. It has a Lowe's, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, and he has two pieces of land, one 2.5 acres, one 4.5 acres. We've done an evaluation on the property. We feel the value comes in around $4 million. He sold half of this stuff to a REIT 3 years ago and paid cash for all of his property, so he owns it all free and clear. He is cash poor right now, and he's looking for a $1.5 million loan on an 18-month note.
And just so I'm clear on the collateral, he has 96 acres. He has 2.4 to two pieces left, 2.4 acres and 2.5 left.
2.5 and 4.5, so he's got 7 acres total. We had an evaluation done through a commercial broker. He came in with a valuation of $8 million. We feel that was way high. We believe it's a $4 million piece. He has 5 great exit strategies, what I'll go into in detail later.
All right, so who wants to take a shot at this deal to see if it's financeable? Sam?
Yeah. If you'll see me, because first off, is the land entitled?
Yes.
Okay. The LTV is a little bit high on the land. Is there any other collateral?
He does not want to cross up to anything else. He owns most of the state offices in Oregon and leases them back to the state of Oregon, so he doesn't want to encumber those. He's a little bit lenient on his loan size. It's for legal fees to get the Walmart installed.
Okay, I would be willing to make a phone call. I've got one investor that specializes in land, and I'd be more than happy to give him a call if you'll see me afterwards.
Thank you.
How much is he looking for?
He's looking for 1.5 million.
1.5.
Or $1 billion, whatever.
Also, you can come by our booth. We got a lot of customers up there. If you drop off your card, I can run a filter in our software and then get the 6 or 7 hard money lenders up there.
Perfect.
And then I'll just shoot them an email. You can give me the one pager on it. I'll shoot them all an email and with your contact info, and hopefully they'll respond.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Next.
Hello, my name is Seth Phillips, and we are currently flipping homes in South Los Angeles. We're doing about 10 a month. We're working with a hard money lender. Right now, we're currently receiving loans at 12% interest, 4 points, including the junk fees, at a loan to future value of 60%. Our typical deal size is 150 purchase with $50,000 worth of rehab. And our financing costs, we're turning these in 4 to 5 months. Our financing works out to a cost of about $10,000 to $12,000 per transaction. The deals are generating $40,000 nets. We're doing 10 of them a month, and this is making money, but we'd like to see if there's a way we could, given the volume we're doing, move up a step, and maybe we could reduce those loan costs by 20, 30%, something like that. Any ideas?
I'll take a first shot at it. First of all, the 60% as improved value is a nice lending amount. Most people will stay at the as-is value, and I wanted to point that out to everybody here. As-is different than as improved, so that's a nice number for you to get. The pricing to me seems right. It doesn't seem that much off at 10 to what'd you say it was? It was 10, 12%, 1% per month. You're paying it back more quickly. So you said you only have it out to 4 to 5 months, so it's costing you 5%, and you're not making it through and you're turning it. I don't know if anybody would do it much cheaper than that up here. I don't know anybody who would do it cheaper.
I'd do it cheaper.
There you go.
So the caveat is that I'll lend loan to purchase. I won't lend off future value. So I'll lend to your purchase price, and I'll make you a very special deal if it's volume, and you can show me that you're an operator.
Yeah, but that you know, we need the leverage. The whole point is that this is going to be a short-lived opportunity, so it's kind of get it while the getting's good. So we want to do as much velocity with utilizing as much leverage as possible right now. So that's our goal.
What you're getting is phenomenal.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is we'll probably just have to become our own hard money lender and just find investors to invest in our first, basically.
And there's a conference that teaches people about that too. Actually, that's exactly right, Kay. I mean, you're the target audience for Leonard. You basically have all this opportunity, and you basically want to take it to the next level. You need to raise investor capital, do these deals. Yeah, so that's...
Yeah. We're actually, we actually bring investors in as seconds right now for basically the other part of it. So we're basically getting about 100% financing on it right now, but it costs us half of the profit.
I was going to ask you a question real quick. The 60% ARV after repair value, how much are you putting in on top of that, even with the second?
Well, with the second, we're putting in almost zero. There's about, after with the first, there's about 50,000 that we put in, and then we have an investor that comes in and we sell them 25% of the deal for 25% of the cost.
Right, but on average, if you take your average example, you said $150,000 acquisition, 50 rehab.
Right.
60% is covering how much of that?
We typically will be getting 150 from the first, and then our investor in the second will cover the other 50.
Would you pay 14% for 70%?
70% of?
ARV?
With what points?
3 to 4.
I don't think that really, it's just kind of like of a push.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, next.
Good question, though.
Hi, my name is...
His pricing isn't off that much. That's pretty good pricing, especially for the market that I know.
Hi, my name is Doug George. I'm an investor out of Boston, Mass. I bought about 200 foreclosures in the last 2 years. And I'm looking for professional advice rather than borrowing. I'm very bankable. I have no problem getting money. However, I know the market very well, and I could make money if I set up a hard money lending fund, which I've done. I've lent my own money out. My question is we can buy all kinds of professional services. We can buy the law services. Can we buy assistance in bringing accredited investors to us?
Yes.
And how do we go about that?
The offering memorandums we're talking about preparing, and the other gentleman can talk about it, you're allowed to go to third-party money finders and/or broker-dealers. And it's traditional to give them a money-raising expense of the money they raise. Typically in the documents that I put together, broker-dealers are entitled to up to 5% on the money they raised. $100 million, they get $5 million. More traditionally right now, I'm seeing between 2 and 3%. So it is allowed, it is permitted, and you go to these companies. Now the problem you have is going to a professional broker-dealer, they have to believe in your product and believe in your track record to devote the time necessary. They won't listen to somebody who's just walking off the street for the first time and saying, hey, I'm interested in getting into the business. You need to show a track record, and it has to make sense for them to devote their time and energy, because that's how they make their money.
Well, I have all that. You know, I'm very, like I said, everything's very professional. My question, though, is, are there actual individuals in this room or people that you can recommend? Because I understand everything you just told me.
Yes.
And I want to go with the people you know or the people that you recommend.
What's that?
Terrific.
Leonard said give Leonard a call on Monday.
Thank you. There you go.
I'm Dean Schoenbeck from the San Diego area. I have a client with a Nevada LLC that owns 80 acres in Rancho Santa Fe, California, which is North San Diego County. We're looking for, well, they purchased it for $4.8 million. The seller carried back a $2.5 million trust deed. The trust deed's in default right now. They've completed about 40% of the entitlements on the property. It's zoned residential. The map, preliminary map, shows about 35 lots, 1 acre lots to build houses on. So we're looking for $1.5 million or $4.5 million. Take out the first, and there's a second included in that 2.6 million. Complete the entitlements and the carrying costs and points on the loan. We have a appraisal dated October of 2010 for $10 million.
As improved or as is?
As is. And there was an appraisal in 2009 for $13 million as is, but we've lost some value in there. So anyway, that's what I'm looking for, to take out a defaulted, there's a notice of default been filed on it, and also a judicial foreclosure. The trust deed holder hasn't moved ahead on it because he's also part of the LLC and would rather see something else happen than get the property back.
Esteemed panel, anybody? Thoughts?
I wouldn't touch it.
Is this working anymore, or am I online?
In today's market, I'm thinking maybe 600,000 is probably about as much as anybody would go. Sorry.
600,000 what?
First mortgage.
For 80 acres in Rancho Santa Fe?
And you know,
I won't bring it to you.
Well, if it's any consolation, I'm doing one in San Diego that is similar to yours, and the value on our deal relative to yours is black and white, and I don't think Brian is that far off on it at 2.6. I wouldn't touch it.
Guys, this is a classic example, and no disrespect to you, of a busted project that was, looked great in 2004 and 2005, and the market got ripped away. And you're watching the natural unwinding of the project now. The seller who provided purchase money financing wants his property back. You put a second on it to try to complete it. There's no market to sell these houses, because if you were, thered be another lender willing to come in. This is a very difficult deal for even the hard money people to get financed right now. My guess is he's going to be foreclosed out and lose the property.
Okay, thank you.
Any other good news on that?
Wah, 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 wah. Yes, next one.
Okay, I'm Alex with Real Estate Investment Solutions. I have a residential transaction that is in South Carolina. Lake Wiley is the area. I have a realtor broker who has identified a piece of property. He has under contract for $174,000. It requires about $74,000 in repairs, of which he's prepared to pay about $25,000 to $30,000 of. And his estimations and comparative market analysis indicates the property will sell for $380,000.
380,000, 175 in. He's willing to.
It's like, I guess the loan would be for 250.
250, 380 value, and as improved. 380.
As improved.
What's
sorry.
it as is? What's it?
As is 170. I mean, he's getting it for 174. So
He's buying. The contract price is 174.
Yes.
He wants to put in 25,000.
The repair, the contractor repair, the estimate is at 74,000. He's prepared to pay 30,000 of that 74. That's what he has liquid.
So he's buying it for 170. He's putting up 100,000 towards the purchase. He's putting up one.
No. He wants to borrow the 174 plus, I guess, 40,000 of the repairs, and he'll pay 30,000 of the repairs.
He wants to borrow the full purchase price.
Yes.
And then 60% of the repair price.
That is correct.
Who thinks that's a good deal for a lender?
Yeah, they get gross. Are they still paying? Yeah, that's good.
Right,
That
so-
price range.
I'm sorry, guys, my mic keeps going. As a lender, as a personal lender into deals, I would not look at that transaction.
Okay.
He doesn't have enough skin in the game to make me comfortable. He's using all my money to make his project work. He's using all the money. He's using all my money to make that project work. He doesn't have enough skin in the game. And if he fails, I'm stuck with a fussed-in project and I'm not sure of the values. That's just my view. You guys can.
I see.
Same view.
Agreed.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, guys. It's Richard from Rhode Island. We're hard money lenders. I need advice. We have an opportunity to pick up a distressed development. It's 8 condo units. The developer has about $1.9 million invested in it. We think we can pick it up for about $1 million. The developer will hold paper in second position for $300,000. My question to you is, should we take a look at it as a loan, or should we look at it to purchase the property under another LLC and let our lending arm loan the money to the LLC, sit in first position, and have the ability to foreclose on ourselves, or just lend against it and let the developer hold the second?
Well, before we get to that, let's flush out the deal a little bit. You have 8 condo units. What are they worth today?
Knowing this retail market, we're not sure. We think anywhere between 185 and 200.
200 each.
Yes. Yeah, they're completed CO. The only thing we don't have is the condo docs.
All right, so you think the asset today, as is worth $1.6 million.
Correct.
The developers put $1.9 million into it and is willing to sell it to you for $1 million and hold back $300,000 in paper, so you need to come up with $700,000.
Correct.
What's the are the condominium, are they done?
They're done, CO.
And they're being rented out, or are you going to sell them?
They're vacant. He never did anything with them because he couldn't decide how he wanted to handle the asset, apartments or condos.
See, that sounds funny to me.
We think it was funny, too.
A guy who has 8 finished condo units, who's in for $1.9 million, he comes to me, and I'm saying, why don't you sell your units? Why don't you rent your units to get some of your money back? And your response was?
They don't cash flow. We know this. They don't cash flow as apartments for even $1 million because of the taxes and just the overhead of the condo development.
So the only play is to sell it?
Yes.
And the most you could sell it for is $1.6 million, and you could pick it up for $700,000.
Well, we
$1 million with $900,000.
Right. We wouldn't sign for the second $300,000. We'd make the contractor that did the development for the developer is going to pick up a PG on the $300,000. So he's going to stay in as a partner.
And no other work has to be done on them?
Nothing. Loan documents. I mean, not loan
All right,
documents.
so this is the way I see it, guys. $1.6 million value, purchase price of $1 million. The seller's going to hold back $300,000. He needs $700 cash in a senior position. Who would do that deal?
I'd do $500K.
You got 500K right there into that deal.
We have the money. We don't need
All
money.
right, so then, I'm sorry, it was a legal question?
The question is, should we loan against the asset at $700,000, take down our payments as the condos are sold, and just sit back and wait and let the developer or the former developer, the contractor now, handle the carrying costs? Versus us going in and a new LLC becoming a partner on the asset and lending ourselves the money to be in position to foreclose on ourselves in the event there's a problem.
That question can only be answered for your cost of money. How much you're willing to pay for your cost of money and your burn rate. The guys up here, you got an offer for $500,000. What rate would you charge at that?
How's the credit of the sponsors?
All right, so, but you're going to look at their credit when you underwrite?
Yeah.
Okay.
I look at everything.
All right, so it depends, your cost of money, my guess is your equity, depending on, if you have cash laying around, you can put it into the deal, it's going to be less than going to a lender.
Right.
Okay, but what you're betting on is, the good thing about defaulting on debt, most of the time, and I don't know what your experience is, all my experience in lending, I've sued on a personal guarantee once.
Right.
Okay, the odds are if the guy can't pay you back, you're not recovering on his personal guarantee. So the asset is what you'd be giving up, and that's your exposure if you borrowed the money. Once you put your equity in, you're really exposed. And if you lose it, you lose what's coming out of your pocket. So it's just that's just the point. We couldn't answer the question, and I'll let the panel answer, without the exact pricing of your equity versus your debt.
Yeah, but you could ask them if there's really an exit strategy because nobody's financing condos.
We talked to two of the local banks, and it is difficult, but they've agreed to take down 3 each. They won't go over more than 50% on financing. So there's 8 units, and a local credit union will take 3, and another local credit union will take 3. And we have
Meaning they'd finance 3 to end users?
Right, and we have 1 cash buyer that's ready to pay $200.
What doesn't make sense to me in this deal, and this is what we talk about when we're sitting in the credit committee room, is if he could truly sell the 8, why aren't they sold already?
According to what we're hearing, he's distressed on an asset he bought in the city. He paid like $6 million for a building worth $2 million. He's choking on it, and he needs to cash out of every position he is. He has some losses on the books that he can take. You know, this write-off wouldn't hurt him as bad as it would hurt us. But
all right, I don't know about that. Thoughts? Anybody?
Something with a 10 handle and 2 points, I'd love to bring to that project for you.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we're only doing real estate deals, but you could come up if Leonard lets you.
Is general admission ready?
Is what?
Can I come up now? I'm in the back seat.
Yes? All right, we're opening up to the 1-minute deal. Be my guest.
Okay. Thank you very much for letting me attend this conference. I appreciate it very much. It's a very exciting environment. I'm not in the real estate industry. I'm in a golf industry. And I've introduced you to the product. It's called the Hex Caliber. It's a golf ball compression tester. And I think majority of the population here, I'd say a good percentage of them are golfers or not golfers. And I've also showed this to George Blackburn, what this concept is. It's a golf ball fitting device for selector for golfers. And I think every golf course in the United States should have one of these in every course. That way, when they find golf balls out of the water, out of the brush, they should know the condition if they have any juice at all. And it took me 7 years to develop this product in R&D development in the sports industry. And I came here today if I could get a slight funding for marketing tools, which is infomercial, catalog, magazine, concept. I've already had a lot of interest in Japan, Asia, in Europe, United States. But now the key is that retailers are asking me, what am I going to do for them as far as marketing, giving information to the retailer? Well, I said infomercial, that takes money. So in order for them to have purchase order, they need to see this on television, Golf Channel, Comcast, any cable network throughout the country. So that's the reason I'm here, and I thank you very much for your time.
Essentially, can I just make a comment here? Essentially, what I hear you saying is you're looking for a possible investor for a unique opportunity outside the box.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that.
Kind of a nice way of saying it. Right, AJ?
That's exactly right, Leonard. In all seriousness, if I were you, I would, Matt Rosen talked about LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's awesome, by the way. LinkedIn, once you join LinkedIn, there's groups that people have set up. Some of those groups are alternative investment groups. Some of those groups are VC groups, venture capitalist groups that basically invest in new ideas, new products, things like that. So I think the only advice any of us could give you here today would be join LinkedIn, search groups for venture capital, startup, things like that, and just search, network with people, and give them your bits. I don't think any of us can help you, but hopefully that would help.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
We did a booth, we did a convention here, maybe it was 3 years ago, and the guy next to us was from Canada, and he had a medical product, and I thought to myself, what is this crazy guy doing here with a medical product at Pitbull? And he was looking for a couple of $1 million, and didn't he get that funded, Leonard?
Actually, is that the guy from Canada?
Yes.
This is actually a funny story. I've actually told this story. Yeah. I've actually told this story a number of times. Don't be laughing now. Get this guy's ass out of here laughing at this. Actually, what happened was he paid to be a sponsor. So it wasn't, right? He didn't just pay to attend the event. He paid the big money to have the big boy booth in the back. And I said, you know, I just don't think this is that audience. You know, it was like some kind of screwy deal up in Canada, and it was like $4 or $5 million. He said, oh, no, you know, the hard money lenders, these are smart guys and so forth. So I called him up about 2 or 3 weeks later to ask him how it went, and really, would you like to come to the next event? And he says, no, I don't need to, because I got all the funding at the event. You get all the funding at the event. So you never know. Here, let's do this. All right, wait, let's do this. Is there anyone here that would possibly be interested in talking with this gentleman? I have one hand here. Do I have 2 hands? I have one hand. Give me 2 hands. Huh? I got one hand. Okay, there's your connection right there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Any other deals?
Right here.
Okay.
Can I say one more thing? Just one more thing? I just want to thank you for letting me stand here and talk to you, Mr. John Hornick.
Oh. My pleasure. Yes.
Hi, Corey from Park City, Utah. My company's called Private Money Utah. I have a deal that came to us a couple of weeks ago in Utah. It's outside of the city, the main city, so it's been a little bit problematic to try to fund because it's considered a rural area, 100,000 population. The details are as follows: 7,000 square feet, single-family residence, investment property, free and clear, 6-car garage on 2 acres. Tax assessed value is about 508, and fire sale value, according to some broker price opinions, about 550. Exit strategy, I'll get to the loan amount in a minute. Exit strategy is pretty good. He's going to fire sale it for about 150,000 below market value, or below the 6-month sale value, let's say. And his use of funds is investing. He wants to put it in some additional single-family investment properties. He's looking for 300,000 for 6 months. And like I said, just been a little bit problematic. We turned it down because it is outside of the Wasatch Front, or basically Salt Lake City area. So it's a good deal, I think. So I thought I would pitch it today and see if there was any interest.
My question for you is, you know the area. I'll be devil's advocate. You know the area. You turned it down.
It seems like...
I didn't turn it down.
Well, whoever did turned it down. It seems like a good deal. The quick sale value with 150 off is 400,000. He wants 300,000. It seems like it could be okay coverage. Well, 75% LTV is not so good. What was the 550 number?
The 550 was a broker's price opinion from about 3 different brokers that I asked if we listed this, at what price could we sell it at fire sale.
So 550 is a fire sale value.
That's a fire sale value, absolutely.
And what was the 150 off? What was that? That's what he's willing to sell for.
That's what he's going to list it for. He's going to dump it.
He's going to sell it for 400. Look, to me, that sounds like a good loan. What would make me nervous about it is that the expert in the area doesn't like it.
The lenders typically want to do inside the city or in, the suburbs of the city. This is, I don't know if anyone in here is familiar with Utah, Logan area, 100,000 population. It's still considered rural. A lot of farms and things like that out there. Nice home, but he's got that working against him for sure. So thought I would pitch that today and see if there was any interest out there.
What's he using the cash for?
He's buying additional single-family investment properties. He wants to buy a bunch of little guys that he wants to use as rentals.
And what's the square footage of the house?
It's 7,000 square feet, 6-car garage on almost 2 acres, so pretty big spread.
How close is it to Park City?
From, well, Park City's kind of on the other side, but from Salt Lake City, it's about a...
So it's out there.
It's out there, yeah.
Is it like have houses right next to it, or is it a ranchette?
Yeah, it's in a nice neighborhood, really pretty prestigious neighborhood for that area.
Is it rented?
It's vacant because it's 7,000 square feet.
Is it currently listed?
Not yet.
Okay.
He's kind of waiting. He wants to get, because he thinks it's going to sell so fast. That
LLC, or is it owned by him personally?
He'll borrow in the name of his LLC.
But it's in his name personally?
It's actually in a trust currently.
Okay, so if he puts an LLC just to circumvent Reg Z, that wouldn't be good. So this is a consumer loan, non-owner occupied. All day long, we're about to announce getting into Utah any day now. So I would love that loan.
Awesome.
Todd in the back of the room. He's a really good-looking guy with a red tie. He'll fund your loan.
There you go.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks.
All right.
How you guys doing? I've got a notes deal. It's 42 first position non-performing notes. And kind of the story behind the deal is I got it under contract, put 50 grand into it, and I had a couple people lined up who were going to fund me for the rest of it, and then found a buyer who wanted me to just assign it to them. I signed it over to them for a $75,000 fee, and they're a bigger buyer that was looking for a lot more product that this seller was saying they'd be able to line up. The challenge with it, which has caused the buyer to actually walk from this deal, is that they got these from Encore, servicer, they got them from, they got them from Encore. The servicer is Select Portfolio Servicing, and they're having the originals as part of the trailing docs, which they haven't fully gotten in yet. They've got somewhere between 6 and 8 of the originals on these 42 notes, and the buyer wasn't able to buy because they need all of that documentation up front. So what the seller said to me is, hey, if you can put in 230 or to 250 right now, I can do all the transfers so you legally own them, but and then we can fund the rest of it when we actually get you over the full originals. So I guess my question is, what would you guys do with this? Do you know anyone that would want to fund something like this? And my funders have put their money into other deals. So
remainder to come at a lesser. Oh wait, just so I recap. I'm sorry. Yep. 42 non-performing notes.
First position.
First position.
Getting them at about 19, 20 cents on the dollar.
19, 20 cents. So what's the 42 notes worth? Face value.
About 2 million.
How much?
2 million.
$2 million bucks. And they're willing to assign them for you for 200,000?
Do all the assignments and allonges for 230.
Why?
Because they want to get the rest of their money in when they actually get the originals in. That's what they're...
Original what?
The original mortgage docs are part of their trailing docs, that with the credit file.
All right, I get a deal like this that comes across my desk and I don't understand it.
Okay.
Okay, it doesn't make sense to me why somebody would transfer $2 million in notes for $200,000 because of documentation. So I would be very concerned if you applied to one of my lending companies or my clients, and just what I was saying before. You're using other people's money. Unless you 100% understand it, it makes sense to you, you've underwritten everything, you don't move forward. So I wouldn't be able to move forward on this deal with the information you gave me. I don't know how anybody in the panel feels. It doesn't make sense. So to give 200, I mean, if he's going to sign it and sell it to you for 200 at a discount, okay.
No, they're not doing it at a discount. The total price on it is $426,300. They want all of that. But what in negotiating, I've said to them, hey, you don't have all of the paperwork, which is part of the trailing docs from Encore. What can we do so that we have, surety on our side? They said, well, we'll at least transfer the money, transfer the documents if you put the money in and release a certain percentage of it.
Assignment, a note, and mortgage, and allonge, title information, that's all you need. The trailing documentation, if you have the specific information about the note and mortgage, as a lawyer, I could transfer it. So I don't know what trailing documentation, unless you want to do more underwriting on it and look at value.
The trailing docs were in there is the mortgage originals and the
They're of record, you could pull them off a title. Everything but the note, and if they lost the note, you could file a lost note affidavit. So the transactional element of the deal is easy. We could figure it out. So there's no reason for the seller to take a discount on something that could be solved legally. So it still doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how you guys feel. You were going to make a comment.
They want the full amount still. They just are willing to have X amount dispensed from title to do the transfer.
Sure.
I would be concerned that the notes have been sold to somebody else. I mean, I want to get a hold of that original, and if I couldn't get a hold of the original, I'm not sure I'd trust this deal. One other comment I might make, kind of a rule I use, confusion equals turn down. If you cannot explain every aspect of a deal, and you go to your lender, confusion equals turn down. If a lender's confused, he's going to turn it down.
I'll tell you, that's a very good point. I'm doing a deal for a client right now who's doing a SWIFT letter of credit deal. And a foreign bank is willing to put up a letter of credit. And I don't know if any of you have ever had experience with these SWIFT deals. They're communications between banks alone. It's not your typical evergreen letter of credit that you see that you could draw on. So I'm talking to this big law firm in New York, and they don't even know what's going on. And they keep telling me that the bank has communicated its SWIFT number to the other bank. Can my client close on the $2 million loan? Every day this phone call comes in, and every day I say, look, I've been practicing law for 17 years. I don't understand what you're talking about. So no, my client can't close on the $2 million deal. And we keep running around and around and around in circles. We will not close on that deal. This client will not fund this deal until it 100% makes sense to them. And that's why they're still in business. And it happens all over the place. And that's the type of deals. Some of these deals you have to pass on, because if you can't understand them and it doesn't make sense, you cannot make the move. And that's a point. And you may find this may be a legitimate deal. This may be great and it may make money. But you've asked a panel of experts and no one's comfortable enough with it because we don't understand it. Spend some time with it, move on to the next deal. There'll be another deal that makes more sense.
Makes sense. All right, thanks.
Good luck.
Sure.
Are there any other deals?
There's a deal.
Aha, I know you got a deal.
Yeah, all right.
Let me say, other than the, no, stay right there, please. Other than this gentleman, we're just trying to get an idea because we're going in the next segment, which is a roundtable discussion, Q&As having to do with content that was discussed today. Are there any other folks that want to join the Bring Your Deal segment, or is this the last one? Raise your hand if there's any other deals. Okay, this will be the last person, and then from there, we're going to go into the open discussion on the roundtable, and we'll have a discussion regarding content we talked about today. Thank you.
My name is London Whitted. I've known Leonard and attended these seminars for about 4 years. About 2 years ago, I got interested in assets in ground, specifically gold. Now, this is for the individuals in the audience, not for the panel. It's outside of the box for you. But simply speaking, it's a very, very good project. If you drew a circle around Las Vegas and included about a 200-mile radius and made that a country, it would be the third largest gold producer in the world. This is a real deal. All the due diligence is done. Nobody's looking for gold in this deal. the gold has been found. A lot of money has been spent, management is in place, equipment. What's needed, I'm sorry, I misspoke there. What's needed is money for the commercial production of gold. It's a scalable project, $5 million, starting off with $1,250,000, and that $1,250,000 would start producing in 4 months. I'd like to, the opportunity to speak to anyone who would be interested. The ROI is consistent with the opportunity and the risk. But again, and it doesn't take any combination of cash, credit, or real estate equity will get this done. And it's a real deal. I can proof up to anyone the asset, the gold, and if you can proof up the cash, the credit, or the real estate equity, we can make the deal happen. I'm here, and I'd be happy to speak to any of you about it. Thank you.
Is there anyone interested in that deal, by the way? Interested in talking with London? Do I have one hand? Give me two hands. Give me one hand. Well, we got to play here. We got one hand. You know where London's at, right? Okay, good. All right, good. This is the roundtable discussion. After this, cocktails, except for the California brokers who have to take a test. So this segment, you can be drunk. What, you want to drink now? Your panel wants to drink? He's already been drinking. He's already been drinking. All right, okay. If you guys want to drink, go up there and get a drink. What do you want? Tell them what you want. What are you drinking?
Chardonnay, please.
Chardonnay, what do you want?
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Oh, okay. You'll be drinking in a few minutes, so. No.
Oh, make me look like the
What?
We're going to make him look bad. No, I'm fine.
No. You're a Scotch drinker. What kind of Scotch?
Johnny Walker Black.
Johnny Walker Black over here. John, red wine?
I'm fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So this segment has to do, and you guys have to wait just a few minutes. This section has to do with content today regarding mortgage pools, real estate funds, legal, software, accounting, commercial loan workouts, and so forth. So it's now open for discussion, and we can begin. The mic is right over there. So just start getting in line. The mic is right in the center here. Just start getting in the line. Okay, very good.
PowerPoint presentations available to download, or part of the PowerPoint password that was given to me when I came in? Especially Matt Rosen's.
Especially Matt Rosen's. Oh, especially Matt Rosen's. VIP and Premier has a download that comes with your seating. What seating are you in, sir?
Premier.
Premier, yeah. You should have gotten an envelope.
I did.
In that envelope is the link with the password. Go there, and the entire PowerPoint presentation is there.
For everybody that's...
well, for you, you're in Premier.
Okay. Well, I was...
My question is related to the new licensing requirements on residential for not just mortgage brokers, but for lenders. Obviously, it's a state-by-state type of thing, but what are your recommendations for people that are looking to become hard money lenders here and that want to lend on 1 to 4? How would they go about getting around that, or potentially addressing that head on, especially for somebody that's kind of a novice who's never lent before and doesn't have a history of being a broker? The sponsorship issue, having to go underneath a mortgage brokerage and that kind of thing. How would you recommend somebody handle that?
If you came to me as your attorney, I'd say you can't get around it.
Right.
You need to go get licensed in the appropriate states to lend against that asset class. So you have to state by state specific
Right.
requirements, you have to look for it. I'd say stay away from it, do the non-owner occupied stuff, and do commercial.
But it doesn't apply, obviously it's a state-by-state thing, but doesn't it apply to anything residential 1 to 4 that requires
It does.
licensing?
It applies, I'd stay away from that asset class.
Right, if you're not properly licensed.
Correct.
And then I had another question about from the loan servicing, AJ. You mentioned some compliance issues with regard to, if you were small-time mom and pop shop and you were just using Excel spreadsheets, but also you mentioned just compliance issues in general. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. Like different states have different requirements just to service loans. Like for example, in California, you need a DRE license, Department of Real Estate. That license allows you to service loans. But then you go to Florida. Florida, there's 2 servicing licenses, an ML license, which means a mortgage lender, and a CL license, correspondent lender. Correspondent lender you can service for 3 months, no more. ML license you can service for the life of the loan. I'm not familiar with the Utah laws in general, so as far as licensing, oh, you got him a drink? What am I, chopped liver? I'm not familiar enough with Utah law, but if you call my office, I don't know if we have any attorneys that work in Utah, but we have attorneys that know rules in different states. I can set up a call with one of them, just 15 minutes for free, whatever, and they can just basically give you the ABCs of licensing, compliance, and things like that for Utah. I'm not sure if, I don't hear any big horror stories about regulations in Utah, so it might not be that bad, and you may be able to do this stuff just on a real estate license. But I don't know offhand, but if you call my office, I can try to find out for you. You're welcome.
Thank you. We are, just to help you out, we just went through that for all the western states, and I think one of the sponsors to Pitbull schools in the past has been Anthony Geraci, so you might want to contact him and he'll walk you through it.
My question relates to your opinion of the application of the securities laws to fractionalized notes and equity participation lending.
It's a fair question. There's been a debate between practitioners on whether the fractionalization of a note is considered a security. Under the security test, I have received opinions from very large law firms that they are not considered a security, and therefore you do not need to register and you do not need to be exempt from registrations under the securities laws. I have not issued that opinion myself out of my firm. So it's a debate between practitioners. The fractionalized loan documents and the participations I put together have a lot of the similarities as the offering memorandum, the subscription agreement, and the LLC operating agreement. The only difference is it isn't registered with the SEC on Edgar or under the Blue Sky laws. So I have clients that have operated for 20 years with the fractionalized participation agreement, and it's worked fine for them. But I will tell you that there are some other practitioners, conservative practitioners, that believe that you are selling a security and you need to address that.
I have a question for John, actually. Doesn't that vary per state? I'm under the impression that in Oregon, doing fractionalized trust deeds is considered security. California, you can do up to 10 investors per loan.
It's
Florida
not.
can't.
This is the definition of a security under the securities laws. So is what we were looking at. I wasn't looking at it as a state-specific issue. That's another layer you would have to look at as well.
Thank you. My name is Adam Child. I'm with Titan Capital Holdings. We're an established private money lender in Arizona and Nevada. We're just coming out with our first PPM. So John, this is a question for you. We're trying to get comfortable with the Reg S aspect of that, and what should we be doing or preparing in the document for foreign investors?
Look, the foreign investor issue is really, it's a twofold issue. It's your securities requirements and it's a tax requirement. Now, are you going to take money directly into your fund from foreign investors?
That's what we're trying to determine, if we should be doing that, or you made comments earlier about, you know, setting up an account in the Cayman Islands.
We did, well, offshore. The idea, and again, the concept is to avoid with U.S. withholding tax. Right. It's ridiculously high, and trust me, no foreign investor will invest with you if they have to pay U.S. tax, if they're not already paying U.S. tax. So the idea is for them to invest offshore, not in the United States. You get your asset, and your U.S. fund sells the asset after it's seasoned to the offshore fund. And it's called a sister fund and a feeder fund. And we could discuss it in more detail, but you need sophisticated securities help to get it done. I've done the funds before. They've succeeded. A lot of accounting work and a lot of getting the accountants to sign off on it to make sure it works.
And what I'm hearing is we should not be taking foreign investment directly into the fund at all.
You can take it, but they're going to pay a tax. And once they find out they're paying a tax, they're not going to be happy.
So then we'd have a disclosure liability or aspect to make sure that they know that they're going to do that.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Along those lines, where's Leonard?
Yes.
We're also looking for sources of funds. Can I call your office on Monday and get some direction on that?
Yes, I'll give you some guidance.
Thank you very much.
I'm full of questions today. I think the last question I wanted to ask was, lessons learned in your guys' experience. Maybe each of you could share one thing, like for example, fraud. You don't have to go into the case, but maybe just kind of show us, give us each one red flag in your experience in lending that you've come across over the years.
It's a great idea. Want to start? We could go down the line.
I need a moment to think of a good example, so I'll pass the mic on.
We have a pass. Next.
I've sort of operated for the last 25 years that all borrowers lie. And as long as you operate off that and do your due diligence, you should be okay.
We operate that 60% of the borrowers lie, so we loan to the other 40. But I think I mentioned one where someone essentially transferred money into a bank account the night before they sent us copies of the bank statements to show that they had adequate funds to do a hard money loan. And the other thing is just be wary of title companies trying to push through closings without getting proper documentation, such as proper commitments and surveys on time. Well, my partner and I had an issue today. You have fraud?
No, I got a good one. Good story though. All right, made a loan on an older hotel. It came back at foreclosure, sold it, and fortunately, when we sold it, it was to an LLC, and we got the personal guarantee of the principal behind the LLC. Turns out that he tried to make a go of the hotel, but it was so run down he couldn't do it. So apparently part of the roof collapsed. It was just a mold and horrendous asbestos issue. And the city made him tear it down. So we were renewing our fire insurance policy on the property, and the inspector went out, and he goes, "What hotel?" Now, sort of the moral of the story is always get a personal guarantee. Now, John made a very wise and veteran observation that he's only gone out after one personal guarantee, in 17 years or something. This is a case where we might have to go after one. Now, fortunately, this personal guarantor has got claims to have a $17 million net worth, and he's made every payment on the loan. So he keeps making the payments on the loan, but he's torn down the motel. Our collateral, yeah, now it's a land loan. So anyway, get personal guarantees. So they sometimes come in handy.
Then you got to deal with Phil getting them off.
I've actually seen a couple, and last year we saw one where bank statements were sent over, and upon closer look of the bank statements, the lines of the numbers were not properly aligned. The fonts were just slightly different. That's a deal we passed on. The other thing is we only do deals where we're direct with the borrower, period, no exceptions. And we had a broker send us a deal, looked really great on the surface with a TV and motion picture star. Took us a long time to get through that person. The broker that brought us the deal, they had fired. There was no deal. So we're effectively, if we're not direct, we don't do it, and we look at all statements and all documentation that comes in before we send it out.
Well, I'm glad to at least say something. I do valuations, so I don't know if anything I have to say would be relevant for you, but I see big disparities in values here and there. So I don't know if it's fraud or not, but BPOs, I've seen 100% difference in many things, so just got to be aware.
Disclose, disclose, disclose. We hear that all the time. Some of our customers got into trouble back in the day. They had all this money sitting around, and there weren't any loans that they liked, so they weren't lending it out, but then they weren't investors weren't getting their returns, so they felt this pressure. They had all this capital, and they felt this pressure to make these loans, right? And in hindsight, they wish they hadn't made any of them. They wish they stuck to the guidelines that kept them on the straight and narrow for many, many years. They kind of looked the other way, ignored it, didn't see the writing on the wall. Those loans went into default, the returns tanked. So, you know, lend like it's your own money or your grandmother's money, right? When you make a loan, it's going to be a great loan that if you had $100,000 to your name, you would take that $100,000 and invest it in that loan, right? It's your money. Pretend like it's your money.
I think for our clients, if they could go back in time, they would read the bank documents, and there would be a lot less things that they would agree to. They would negotiate with their bank. They go into a deal feeling like this is going to be great, and it doesn't always work out that way. And so that's one thing. And the second thing is not to be married to the asset. We come in and we feel like we can be objective, and a lot of our clients treat their assets like their children, and they don't want to let them go. And we feel like they have to be very much more objective in terms of business approach to it.
All great, astute comments, all saying the same thing. I mean, this is a veteran roundtable, so I would just add to it. First, always go to your asset. And I remember somebody, when I was practicing in Manhattan, was trying to finance a building with 14 floors, and this was the value, and I went by the building and it had 12 floors. We're getting ready to count it. I counted. 12 floors didn't make sense to me. So with that, did you guys ever see the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer, the chess movie? There's a scene in that movie where Bobby Fischer is playing and the person teaching him knocks all the chess pieces off the table. And they tell him to look back down. He was supposed to memorize the board. And he's telling them, don't move until you see it. Don't move until you see it. And that has stuck with me throughout my practice and lending career. If I don't understand it, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but if I don't understand it, it's not moving forward. And I'm just going to pass. Explain it to me once, explain it to me twice, even a third time, and then I'm not smart enough to understand it, it doesn't make sense, move on. So just don't move until you see it. And don't let anybody convince you otherwise. The other thing on personal guarantees, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, it's great to get a mortgage securing the personal guarantee on a residence when you're doing a commercial deal. Not even if it's a second mortgage. Not because you want to take that asset, but it keeps your borrower's attention. Once you bring in a second asset, your borrower and his family lives there, he's thinking twice. He's thinking that he wants to make you more happy as a lender than just take the asset. So you get the personal guarantees and you secure it by a personal mortgage. Second, third on the asset, you can still foreclose them out, but then he's staying awake with you.
Hi, gentlemen, or big boys, or whatever you like to be called. I'm a big girl.
Well, she does know how to flatter everybody.
I think she deserves an iPod. Athos, can we get her an iPod?
My name's Jillian. I have two questions. One's a short question, one's a little longer. The first one is, do any of you do any mobile home park financing? Sure, yeah? You do? Okay, just curious. I was curious to see if the hard money world was lending towards that now. And my second question is really directed towards John. I'm a securities attorney as well, and I deal with folks who constantly have the problem of not being able to find the money. Obviously, they come up with their offering and they can't find the money. And I think everybody here who spoke today did an incredible job of saying how to do the marketing aspect of trying to raise funds. But I'm wondering what your experience is with broker-dealers, and if you find that you have any broker-dealers that will take on the smaller deals, because I know you had mentioned that in your presentation. I was wondering what you thought about that.
Leonard, you want to address
Well,
that?
I can take a stab at it. UBS and you know, some of those big firms that are even going to talk to you. But the boutique broker-dealers clearly is a market. And what they're looking at is they want to see the track record of the fund with a audited financial for a minimum of 1 year. Okay. So if you go in and you make a compelling argument that this is a great idea, it's a great project, you have a track record, the deal is believable, it's realistic, it makes sense. It's one of those kind of situations where it's a relationship build situation. I'm working with a client right now a client that I have, and he has a 16 months track record, and we just got a commitment the other day for a couple $1 million to start. They're going to take a look at that and analyze over the next year how that worked out, how the books looked, and so forth, and then they made a commitment for another $2 million, assuming that all works out. So it's a relationship build situation, clearly, but the relationship starts with 1 year of audited financials.
Sure.
And they don't necessarily have to have a lot of deals going, but enough to where it shows activity and it shows that their business platform works.
With that being said, what about like principal past performance?
This is a new fund, has no track record, has no financials, but you want to take a look at the principal in the past?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, broker dealers won't look at that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't make the rules. I'm just the communicator of information.
Right.
Yeah. They just don't want to look at it.
Okay.
There's no way of getting around that 1 year audited financials.
Right. No, that's the experience I'm having. I was just curious as to what you thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, call me next week and let's talk, because we haven't talked for a while. Okay.
So you guys, I guess the question I want to ask you, I mean, there's an end game here. You want to keep your business running, your hard money business up and going. You're making good money, but have you guys thought about branding yourself or later sale of your business to cash out?
How much do you want to buy my business for?
Let's talk. Just joking.
I've had past experience. I sold my last hard money company June 31st, 2007. I was lucky enough to get out. Both my partner and I perceive that our brand will eventually be spun up to somebody else that's willing to write a check. So it can be done in the hard money industry. All of us know or should know the Ames Home Loan story. Hard money company was around forever, 2 generations, and they were the first mortgage company, I think, to actually go public, and then they sold to Aquin. So it can happen, and starting with hard money loans is a great place to, get going.
I think it's a difficult thing to do. I'm glad you got out, because what's the assets of a hard money company? Their origination machine, their cash flow from their servicing arm, and their ability to borrow, and the assets that they currently have. So to me, it's not an operating business you're selling, it's more of an asset sale. And that's priced into the loans themselves and the cash flow from the business. So I've been involved with a couple of potential sales. And at the end of the day, for one company I worked for, the bankers who were trying to value the company only cared about their ability to borrow at a low interest rate with a revolving credit line facility. That was their biggest asset. They were borrowing at 200 basis points above LIBOR and lending at 12%. And the bankers, all they wanted to see was how long that was going to keep in place. Now, with what happened after 2007, it didn't last so long. So their value dropped, and then when they came to the sale of the company, they were valuing the loans at a discounted value because the values dropped. So I think it's a tough business to sell as an operating business, but it's possible. I defer to the other members of the panel on that point.
I wrote a book in late 2006 called The Reverse Multiplier Effect. And I saw what was happening, and I pretty much knew that a serious slump was coming. We can call it a recession or a depression, but I'll just call it a slump. So I tried to get out early. And Blackburn & Brown was the name of my company at the time. We had a great reputation. We had a great portfolio. And I tried hard to get out early. But what I found is that when people went in to look at my company, they were most concerned about securities risk. Right of rescission. In other words, an investor coming back and say, well, if I never would have invested, if I had known that we've talked about, was pretty serious, and no one's willing to assume that securities risk. So I had to bat down the hatches and get ready to weather the storm that was coming. Now, in my case, I had a couple sons coming up through college, and the company name was changed from Blackburn & Brown to Blackburn & Sons. And for me, that's my exit strategy, is pass the baton on to my company. And for those of you with children coming up through the educational system who might consider that as an option, I think that's great. I think of my two sons, a whole lot of their classmates still have not found jobs in their majors. And yet both of my sons are working in a company that was their major and their focus of their study. And I think that's a pretty good exit strategy, is you pass the torch, maybe not on to a buyer who's going to let you retire to Belize, but at least to the next generation that can build on the servicing income and the strength of the family name and the reputation of the family, et cetera.
Two quick questions. As a hard money lender, sometimes you finance fees up front in a loan. Do you have any suggestions on how, that's, in my opinion, that's taxable at the time you sign the loan versus when you collect the money? Do you have any suggestions on how to change that documentation so you pay the tax when you collect the money? The second question is, do you have any recommendations for accelerating the foreclosure process? That you, documents that you can put in your loan, deed in lieu of,
yep,
as an example.
Yep.
We've got opinions from attorneys that say it doesn't work.
Okay.
Any suggestions?
Well, here, I'll tackle the second question first, the foreclosure process. Being a hard money lender, nothing is easy. Closing a loan is hard. Foreclosure is hard. I had a discussion with a bunch of gentlemen before. They have a loan. Where are they? They have a loan that's in default. There they are. Hey guys. They have a loan that's in default, and they want to foreclose. And my experience is that's the time, the best time for a lender to put themselves in a better legal position by giving some kind of extensions or modifications and improving their realization on the property. So what do I mean? You do a forbearance agreement with the borrower, and the borrower's in default, he stopped paying you. Well, maybe the borrower can pay you a little bit. So you extend the loan 6 months and say, I'm going to give you free interest for 2 months, but you're going to give me a deed in lieu of foreclosure now. And I'm going to hold on to it because you're in default. And you're going to give me all these affirmative statements that says the lender's done nothing wrong. You indemnify the lender. The lender has I have no offset rights against the lender. So when you're in the foreclosure proceeding, instead of running to court, my advice to my clients is let's do a modification. Let's give the borrower some more time, because at the end of the day, unless you're a loan-to-own guy, you don't want to own the asset. You want your money back and all the interest you bargained for. It's going to take the same amount of time to give him an extra 6 months as it is to go through, in most states, the foreclosure proceeding. And you also run the risk of bankruptcy. Now, you could also add an independent director at that time and make sure that they can't voluntarily elect bankruptcy as a remedy to stop your foreclosure. So when loans start going bad, my advice is call your counsel and start developing a strategy for each loan, depending on the state you are, in order to let you realize on the property as quickly as possible. So that was the answer to the second question. Yes.
That was a good answer. I'm gonna answer that also from, I'm a lawyer as well, from a Texas perspective. Get a little plug for Texas when it comes to foreclosure and deeds in lieu. We can foreclose on your property or a property in 30 days.
Right.
Worst case scenario, 45. Deed in lieu sounds great. I can get it back in a day, but the deed in lieu does two things. One, it doesn't wipe the property clean. And two, I have no recourse against the personal guarantee. That's gone.
That's called the one action rule.
Right.
Texas has it, California has it. You choose the personal or you choose the asset, but always choose the asset.
Right, right. But you have to be aware of that, and one of the advantages we have, we also have title companies, so we run title searches to help make that decision, because if there are any liens on the property that you want wiped out at foreclosure, you want to go through the foreclosure process. It's just my 2 cents.
In Texas, it's very different. Foreclosure's so quick, but there's states like New York that can take 800 days to foreclose. So getting on the phone with your counsel and trying to work something out with a borrower that he, can give you the property if he doesn't follow his next promise is always a great idea.
John, would that work in New York? Because New York is awful. Deed in lieu
Deed in lieu won't work, but a waiver of remedies, a waiver of stuff, we really bring them down. Adding the bankruptcy remote provision helps, because bankruptcy could be tough. So all that does help. We've gone to, I don't know how that happened, so I'll just stand there like this. But we've gone to court with these modifications, and the judge has said, borrower, you just agreed to all this in the last 3 months, and it wiped away a lot of defenses. So it's helped us get to the position, and we end up getting there much more quickly.
Wonderful.
Great question. And she had a first part of the question. What was the first part?
Taxability of the fees up front.
Right. My experience is you take the fee, if the fees are financed by the loan, they're subject to taxation in that taxable year.
Right.
There's no way to defer it to later years until the loan is repaid, is what she's asking?
That's what I'm trying to see if there's a way to do it that way. I don't think there is.
I have not, according to my accountant, no. So I don't know if there's an accountant here, but we pay taxes.
What about not charging points and raising the interest rate up, and then you realize...
You give the points and just build it into the interest rate?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, as a lender to protect yourself, you want more money in your pocket than their pocket for first your yield, and secondly for your exposure. So I'd rather, points up front are much better than interest rates in the future. And who knows if they're ever going to pay you in the future. So from a risk standpoint, I'd rather take the money up front, pay the tax on it, than the risk of waiting 2 years and not getting paid. But that's just my philosophy. Yes?
Oh, thank you. My name's John. I'm a California broker. I just want to make sure I'm walking away with the correct information. For the seminar here, I think the main topic is to form a money pool and loan to rehabbers. That's kind of the message I've been hearing over and over again as a business model. Is that correct?
No. And that's a very competitive marketplace in California right now. So it's...
I agree.
It's a business model, but John's...
They can't hear. You don't have a mic sound.
It's a...
Here, let me do it.
Okay.
Well, that's like reducing it down to the ridiculous. Let me replay it back.
Well, and also maybe you could just summarize the top 3 business models that you want me to walk away with.
Okay. Business model number 1 is to be a big boy. And a big boy, by my definition, is creating your own real estate fund or mortgage pool, whether it be California, Texas, Arizona, or New York. That would be number 1. Number 2 is the issue of loan products. Now, Brian mentioned, loan products are very competitive, especially in the rehab market in California. I get 100 requests a week for lenders who do rehab loans at my office, and I just funnel them out and so forth. Yeah, there's a lot of competition, but there's a huge demand. That's one product. So when you create a real estate fund or mortgage pool, you may have several products. You may have rehab loans for investment purposes. You may do small balance commercial. There's even some lenders that are doing owner-occupied. You can do, I mean, there's all kinds of products that you can have. I think the message for today, at least one of the messages, is that California is a great place to do business. And John and I somewhat have different opinions on this, and that's what makes apples apples and oranges oranges. That's fine. I mean, that's fine. I think California is great because you can create a fund, you can advertise the fund, the threshold for accredited investors is the lowest in the country. CFL license is very easy to get, and California is the 8th largest economy on the planet Earth. Granted, you can't go to New York to get investors, so forth, but how many people live in California? 8 million or something? I mean, it's like, you know, it's huge. So that's clearly, is it 8 million? 30. Okay, see? 30 million, even better. There's 30 million, so go ahead, take that.
Just one thing to add to what Leonard said, and then what the gal from Utah asked, is that some people only do rehab loans. We have customers that only do commercial loans. We have customers that only do $50 million commercial loans. We have customers that only do 1 to 5 or 5 to 20. We have customers that do payday loans, personal loans. We have customers in Texas, a ton, that only do tax lien loans against, you know, next year's tax bill, which they owe. There's no income tax in Texas, but there's property taxes, and they're high. They get loans to pay those property tax bill. Great thing about that is the borrower comes back every year, right, for another loan. It's a great business model. And then she had mentioned mobile home parks. We have customers that only make loans to people in mobile home parks. They love them. It's 25% interest. In 3 years, they're going to default. They take their property back and sell it to somebody else at 25% interest. I'm not kidding. So, so I would say you got to find your particular niche and your particular loans that you're comfortable with and your investors are comfortable with and your particular area that works for you, whatever that happens to be.
Dave Hutchin, Baltimore, Maryland. I wanted to ask, it sounds like all of the income, both for the hard money lenders as well as the investors, is usual income. Is there any way to convert income to a more tax-advantaged stature?
My first reaction is they're getting 1.5 at the bank and they're not satisfied with 12 taxable. I mean, you know, I agree that you want to minimize your taxes, but my goodness, you're getting what, you know, 7 or 8 times as much interest income off a trustee investment than a CD in the bank.
You can invest their IRA money. A lot of people do that. Okay. Yeah, IRA.
That's
Thank
true.
you.
It's a way the way you use pension money.
Ryan O'Farrell with Majestic Capital. Someone brought up the foreclosure process, and I was wondering, I've heard some lenders that form LLCs and take a 51% ownership in the LLC, and if the payment gets 30 days behind, they vote the other member out and take the asset. Have you guys heard of something like that?
A more common approach is a mezz loan, which is easier to foreclose on. So you have a property level loan, which is a mortgage or a deed of trust, and then you have the entity that owns it, the LLC, and you give a loan to that, or you take a security interest in those shares. And that's a UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, foreclosure process, very quick. And the idea is to grab control of the asset so that the borrower can't do anything bad to it while you go through the foreclosure process. Very similar to what you're saying. And the answer is yes. Mezz loans are common. During the heyday, just a couple years back, there was a business doing mezz loans, also known as second loans, and they were in the 20 to 30% interest range. And so, yes, we've done that type of stuff. Once you become an owner of the borrower, though, you're an owner. And all the liabilities and obligations of being an owner come along with it to the outside world. As between you and your partner, you could agree the 49% guy is responsible for everything that comes along. But at the time he craps out and he's gone, you're the owner. So if the company owes people money, if there's environmental liability on the property, if insurance is not paid, if taxes aren't paid, the LLC owns it and you're the owner of that LLC. So be cautious of that.
John, we can take one
Thank you.
more.
We have one more last question, guys.
I have a question with respect to, and this is pretty much for just about everybody up there. In an effort to preserve liquidity with respect to the funds that are funded, are you guys aware of any entity, anybody that they're able to package these loans once they're funded and create some sort of a secondary market to hold?
Secondary market for hard money loans.
So you want to sell notes from your fund?
Let's say you have a fund, you are funding X amount of loans, but you want to be able to continue before you run out of money. So is there a secondary market out there that you can package these loans?
Go ahead, John.
Currently, no. There was.
For the hard money loans I'm talking about.
There was.
There was?
There
Okay.
was companies like CapSource, companies like Fortis Bank, Fortress, the hedge fund out of New York, was willing to do it. None of them are willing to do it right now.
John, that's an interesting question. I received a call last week from somebody who came to one of our events a couple of years ago, and we're talking about business models for his fund, what he wants to do, and so forth. And his concept was purchasing loans from the hard money lenders in tranches at a discount.
Of course.
And that was their actual product. Yeah, but I agree with John. It's not out there. It's not out there, but there are people now beginning to talk about that.
Because no matter what, I mean, let's say we raise a fund today or we already have one, at some point, you're going to run out of money.
You start
raise more capital.
Especially in this market, what I think it's...
You raise a second, if you have the returns, you start your second fund, you start your third fund, you look at different opportunities. You'll always find investors if you get the right returns.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, that's going to end this segment. Really quick. All right, you're done.
Okay. Lender's trust. Have you ever made loans in where you're lending through a trust and you have a trustee that you control, and if something happens, no foreclosure is necessary, you just take the property?
Well, you know, there's some states are mortgage states, some are deed of trust states, and you use the trust and the beneficiary the same way. I haven't done lender's trust deals in a long time. Traditionally, most investors are looking for first lien mortgages or deeds of trust, and you know the foreclosure process is the foreclosure process. It's state specific. So with that, and also a mezz loan, security interest like we just mentioned.
No, I'm not sure. The lender actually buys the property for a rehab situation.
Right.
And so you buy the property, and the trustee, of course, is somebody that you control. And then there's no foreclosure necessary from what I understand.
Right, it's not available. It's available only in a few states, and I haven't done many of those deals.
Okay.
Let's have a big hand for the big boys. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Okay, we are about to wrap this thing up, and then it's going to be party time. We do have some little bit of unfinished business. I'm going to ask Kathleen Rosen to come up here for just a moment, and this is pertaining to the California Brokers Test. If you can't pass this test, you probably shouldn't be here today. It's pretty simple. Why don't you come up here so they can see you? And then once she passes that out and so forth, it's cocktail time.
All right, you have 30 minutes to take the test. I'll pass them out to whoever raises their hands. In addition to turning in the test after the 30 minutes, we'll give you a signal, either verbal or with the lights, when that time is up. In addition to returning the test, you need to return the record of attendance that you should have been keeping track of your time throughout the day. So have that filled out as well. If you, by chance, don't happen to have your license number with you, I can try and look it up online, or you can email it to me at pitbullmortgageschool@gmail.com. All right, so good luck.
Okay, good. So thank you for coming. I hope you had a good time. I hope it was valuable, and please enjoy the cocktails.